Perfect. Okay, I can't hear myself. So. Good morning, everybody. We warmly welcome you today to our speech about hydrogen in off-road applications. First of all, we want to like to introduce ourselves. So, my colleague, Gerhard Keinprecht, he's a specialist for drivetrain applications in the pre-development of our plant in Austria. And myself, I'm Henrik Weitze. I am project leader for new developments. Okay. So we have three sections in our speech. First of all, we want to introduce you why we want to use hydrogen in earth-moving machineries. The second part, we want to tell you the difference about internal combustion engines with hydrogen compared to fuel cells. And in the third part, we want to explain you what Liebherr is going to develop in the next years. So, why do we use hydrogen in mobile machineries? For many applications, as you know, like for cars, batteries are the best or one of the best solutions. But if you use more energy or if you use your machineries more hours per day, the batteries are limited. Yeah. So we have the problem of recharging time and also the problem of weight and installed power on the machines. So we think that batteries are good for smaller machines, but they are limited. At least if you think about recharging your machineries. So then we come up to hydrogen in the midsection. So for bigger machines, we will use normally hydrogen. And at the end, for the mining application, we talk about synthetic fuels, e-fuels, or grid electric applications. So we did some analysis here in the example of the wheel loaders. Where can we use batteries and where we can't use it? So if you have a look to the smaller machines, the battery electric drivetrains are suitable. But if you come to bigger machines, we have the problem that the batteries doesn't fulfill our needs. Yeah. So we have a higher power demand, and we have not enough time to recharge the batteries. So that's why we come up to hydrogen applications, which are suitable for all of our machines. We can go to 24-hour shifts or applications. We can go to applications with a high power demand, and that's where we want to come up, because hydrogen, at least as we wish, will be faster refueling compared to batteries. Okay, I hand over to my colleague.
Okay, so the H2IC and the H2 fuel cell. So what you can see at the picture here, this was our booth at Bauma, so biggest trade fair for construction machinery in Europe. And here we already tried to line out that we are dealing with both technologies. And here's why. So within our division, we are both working for the earth-moving machinery division at Liebherr. We have quite a huge range of machines, ranging from mobile excavators, wheel loaders, crawler tractors, telehandlers, crawler excavators, dump trucks, and more. And we see that also within one machine, as Henrik lined out before, we have lots of different machine sizes, for example, the wheel loader from 4 to 33 tons. And we clearly see that depending on the usage characteristics of those machines, especially the power demand, as Henrik lined out, also the operating times, but also how are the work surroundings where the machine is used. We think that both technologies have their advantages and they are clearly recognizable. And so we think that we will in the future have both technologies in serial production, but we clearly want to line out that we don't see those two technologies competing each other, but we see that they are complementing each other, especially when it comes to the development of H2 components besides the fuel cell and the engine. But for tank systems, I don't know, valves, refueling station, all can come up and develop further if we have both technologies in serial. And also when it comes to the infrastructure, which we will need for our machines, and we will show you later. For construction machinery, especially the infrastructure, is a bit more difficult. But we clearly want to line out that Liebherr has made an important midterm choice. Currently, we see that especially fuel cell cannot deal with all the requirements we have in our machinery, especially the hard off-road conditions. For example, high inclinations. You see here a machine piling up material. Also an excavator working on a skiing slope, so preparing a skiing slope. We see inclinations of up to 45 degrees. Also dust, gases, vibration, for example, when dumping out the shovel is quite hard. And here we see that the fuel cell still has challenges which can be dealt with, but we see that it takes time to work on those challenges and make the fuel cell ready and robust for our applications. So this is why Liebherr has clearly wants to line out that the way to go in midterm, so for the next years, will be the H2 internal combustion engine. So this is the first technology which we will bring into serial production. If we take a look at emissions, the question is always, how big is the impact of the machines? And I guess it is well known that the internal combustion engine, no matter if it's a diesel or especially a hydrogen engine, the NOx emissions are not completely zero. If we take a look at the past or what is currently for emission regulations, huge step has been done. So currently we're compliant to Euro 6. In the future we'll have Euro 7, which is not completely clear. And in the past, if we take a look, emission regulations have dropped a lot. But nevertheless, it really depends on not what is the reduction which we have made in the past. It really depends on what is the absolute impact on our health and on the environment. And we think that the hydrogen internal combustion engine, even though its emissions are not completely zero, we think that the emissions are that low that the absolute impact on our environment and especially our health is comparably low and will not affect our health and our environment. And the limits where this zero impact will be in the future are not completely defined yet. Different states have different limits which they are talking about. But we think that the H2IC will be compliant to those limits and especially is comparable to the fuel cell and the battery, especially when it comes to fundings and taxes. So this is quite an important message which we want to bring today. If we take a look at our climate, so CO2, the construction and agriculture has quite a low impact. So this is a study which has been published by the EU. And the thing is, construction and agriculture compared to the on-road sector, so cars and trucks, is quite low in terms of CO2 emissions. We can also see this on our sales. So this is not just Liebherr, this is overall sales in the EU. Around 783,000 machines over the last 7 years compared to the millions and millions of cars and trucks. This is quite low. But that does not mean that we can lean back and say, okay, we don't have to do anything because our impact is that low. It means if we want to exploit our potential and reduce CO2 emissions, we have to rely on what the on-road sector is doing. So if we want to exploit our potential, especially when it comes to the development of components and infrastructure, the on-road sector is our focus, and what the on-road sector is doing is quite important for us. And this is, this leads us the way where we have to go.
Okay, then, thank you very much. So hydrogen technology at Liebherr, what's coming up? At the moment, we are developing hydrogen internal combustion engines. So we have a long history in developing gas engines. So these gas engines we now adapt to the gas of hydrogen. And the advantage we see, we can industrialize the basic technology. We have the know-how how to do it. So for us, it's quite easier to switch on a hydrogen internal combustion engine than to a fuel cell. compared to a diesel engine, we have a very little difference in terms of maintenance of this engine. So our customers are used to it. We have the skilled people how to maintain these engines. Also, the integration in the machine is easier for us than to switch from a diesel engine to a fuel cell. Yeah, we just have to put it in, put it out, and then we have to add the storage system for the hydrogen. This is really a good impact for us. According to the EU definition, today we have a zero CO2 emission engine. And we have a near to zero NOx emission. So today we fulfill the actual exhaust appliance. And even for the future, or we think for the future exhaust appliance we can treat them with an exhaust after treatment system. So technically, this is no problem for us to fulfill the further norms. Compared to a fuel cell, we think that it's highly attractive in terms of operating cost and also in terms of installation cost. This internal combustion engine is much cheaper than a fuel cell. The cooling package, heating package is much easier compared to a fuel cell. And also in terms of consumption, for our applications, we have application with a highly transient behavior. So we don't have this stable consumption, which is perfect for the fuel cell. In our machines, we don't have this. Yeah. So this is also an advantage for this combustion engine. And maybe one of the best points is it is insensitive for vibration and dust and inclination. You had it before. So this engine we can use like a diesel engine in dusty environments with hard vibrations. This is no problem. And last but not least, so we think the hydrogen is suitable for everyday use, and we will have a quick entry with this technology into the market. So what are we doing? So Liebherr is at the moment developing the hydrogen injectors as well as the ECUs, which we integrate in a 4-cylinder and a 6-cylinder hydrogen combustion engine. And these two engines we integrate in different machines of our portfolio. So at the moment we are hardly working on the wheel loaders and on the crawler excavators, but other machines are also following later on. Maybe for your information, the crawler excavator we have in test since 2 years. We presented it 2022 on the Bauma booth. It's working on our test yard, and since some weeks now we have also the wheel loader, which is working on the test yard. So we really have these machines working, we're developing it, improve it, to sell it later on to you. Okay. So this was our first prototype with a hydrogen fueling station we had on our test yard, with a grounding cable on it, and quite easy to fill it up. So we can put in the hydrogen into the 2 tanks we had there, which was transferred to the combustion engine later. Does it go on? I have to switch? Okay. But one of the big challenges is the refueling of the hydrogen. This is a missing link we have today. So on our test yard, we had a hydrogen station. We came with the excavator to the station. There's no problem. But how do you do in a quarry like this? Yeah? So we have, for example, the excavator digging up on the hill. Then we have a wheel loader bringing down the material. We have a dozer for the slopes, and another wheel loader down to charge the trucks. So if you put in a hydrogen station over here, could be okay. It's protected. Falling stones won't fall on the hydrogen station. No risk at all. It's quite easy. But we still have the problem, how will the excavator drive down to fill up? Yeah. And on a normal infrastructure job site, so we have the machines anywhere around. They're moving every hour to another place. Where should we plant the hydrogen station? Yeah. So what we need is a mobile refueling solution. So we have joint activities with several companies to have a mobile refueler. The idea is that a mobile refueler drives to a public station or mother station to fill up with hydrogen, which is going then to different machines to charge the hydrogen into the machines. The difficult point here is that we don't have any power supply on a quarry or on a job site. Normally, we are creating the infrastructure, so there's no electricity available. Also in the quarry, we don't want to have a genset or whatever, because the stones are falling down. So normally you come there, you fill up the machine, and you drive back. So what we need is a mobile solution where we can fill in the hydrogen on a public station. This mobile refueler will go to the different machines, fill up the machines, drive to the next machine, fill up the next machine, and drive back to a mother station. That's, in our point of view, the only way how mobile machineries can work with hydrogen in future. Yeah. So we could have this mother station down in the quarry, for example. It could also be a public station nearby. And in our point of view, we need a 700 bar solution. With a 350 bar for our machines, it won't work because we don't have enough power inside. So already today we switch from 18 hours reach we have today on our machines with the diesel. If we go to 700 bar, we will drop down to 4.5 hour reach. And if you drop down to 350 bar, which we also analyzed, I don't know whether our clients are happy with if you can work only 3 hours between 2 refills. So you have to refill 3 times during a shift. That's not what we point out for the next generation of our machines. And also, if you have a 700 bar solution, the impact of the design is less important than if you have a bigger, the 350 bar solution or battery solution or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Over to you.
So then I will hand over. I took here Netherlands as an example. As my colleague mentioned, a mobile refueler needs a stationary refueling station. We call it mother station, where it can refuel and go to the machines and refuel them on the construction site or in the quarry or whatever application we have. From the source, I took H2 Live. So currently in the Netherlands, we have around 17 existing 700 bar stations which are in operation. And for example, if we take this distance here between those 2 stations, hydrogen mobile refueling for our machinery, so for non-mobile machinery, is already quite attractive. So ways are short, time is short, and the euros per kilo which we have to add to the price at the mother station for the mobile refueling is quite low. But for example, if we have a construction site between those 2 locations or between those 2 stations, mobile refueling becomes quite time and cost expensive. So there's a lot of euros per kilo adding to the price from the mother station because the time and the cost for the transport is that high. And also it will be quite a challenge to refuel several machines if you have to drive 2 hours to the mother station and back. And this is why also refueling of our machines really relies on the public or on the stationary refueling station network, because we need the network to refuel our mother station. To sum it all up, I want to give a short outlook on the roadmap we currently have in mind for hydrogen applications. As mentioned, we are dealing with both technologies, so with fuel cell and the hydrogen internal combustion engine. But the hydrogen fuel cell, as mentioned, is currently in kind of a pre-development stage. So we already built the first demonstrator vehicle, which we also presented at Bauma in 2022. This is a small wheel loader with a hydrogen fuel cell drivetrain, which is currently still in tests at different customer sites. And at the moment, we're dealing with vehicle concepts, with sizing components, so how to size the battery, how to size the fuel cell, how to size the system, the tank system, and also how to do the energy management between those components, how to cool it. And we are also planning to build further prototypes with higher technology readiness level, also to go into longer field testing. But compared to the engine, it is still in technology development and not in serial development. But as mentioned, the H2 ICE is already in serial development. So first machines as the mobile excavator, the crawler excavator, have already been built and presented at Bauma in 2022. They are already in operation, and as mentioned, also prototypes for wheel loaders have already been built. Another important milestone is on our engine plant in Buhl in Switzerland. An electrolyzer has gone into operation where Liebherr has shares. So we want to supply our test rigs where we test our engines with green hydrogen, which is quite important. If we use the hydrogen for our machines, it must be green. And the first two machines, the crawler excavator and the wheel loader, are currently in testing. So they will be tested at our premises, then go to customer field testing for intensive long hours, so for the whole expected lifetime. And then they will have their SOP by end of the decade. So yeah, thank you for your attention. You're welcome to visit us at our booth. It is right behind there, so at the VDMA pavilion. And if you have any questions, ask now or visit us on our booth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have some question?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Ivona Caña from CIT in Spain. Is there anything in particular that is different from the strategic point of view in the mobile refueler from the actual thing that I guess you have in place compared to the hydrogen one? I mean, it's just the technical difficulty of making the mobile refueler?
Yeah, it's also from a technical point of view, a mobile refueler is a challenge. So it's I guess some suppliers. So Liebherr, we don't develop those mobile refuelers. We're working together with partners. As you saw in this case with Maximator, they are still in development and not available at the moment. But we have to develop them both together. And as you mentioned, from a technical point of view, there are a lot of similarities between the machine side and the refueling side. But yeah, it's challenging. But we know that if we have the machine in the field, we need the mobile refueler and vice versa. So it's a challenge. But we think that if the machine is technically ready, also the mobile refueler will be technically ready. And then it's a question of how they will go into the market and how the quantities will rise.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I believe the cylinders used into this vehicles, I think in the fuel cell, those are type 4 cylinders, right?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the question.
The cylinders, the hydrogen cylinders used in the fuel cell vehicles. Hydrogen.
I'm sorry. Yeah, type 4. Yeah.
Those are type 4. So
Yeah.
what capacity is it of?
Yeah, it really depends on the machine. But it's quite similar to truck use cases. So on a range between 40 to 80 kilograms, really depending on the application and on the machine size. Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions?
No more questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.